What's up, guys? Kamikaze Fox coming to you live from Monza, Italy, the home that Ferrari built. Welcome to round 7 of the 2017 SRL F1 Championship on the PS4 platform. Looks like we've got 11 drivers lined up for today in the house that Ferrari built, and Ferrari will certainly be looking to build on their dismal season so far. We're going to get ready for a short qualifying session and jump into a hot race, and we're going to see what Ferrari can do at their home track. The last 2 seasons Ferrari has won here. Sandro won the first race back in Season 1, and Season 2, Dion Stahl actually took the win after a calamity of errors amongst many drivers towards the end of the race. So we've got a 12-minute qualifying session. We've got 11 drivers. Francis McGinn is in the factory Honda McLaren. Sandro in the factory Ferrari, followed by Dion Stahl. Jesper. That is just going to be Jesper. He's in the Haas. He is taking place of Samuel Brandt. And it looks like we got some drivers heading out onto the track. Mr. Jan Holm is going to be joining us today with Widowmaker. We've got us Sahara Force India, but I am not sure whose name that is or how to pronounce it, so we're just going to call him IES. That is Isteris. Sorry if I got that wrong, I'm sure I did. Killian Brady, your championship points leaders, once again McLaren Honda, having a fantastic season after taking another win last week at Barcelona. We've already got a Red Bull into the grass. Not a good way to start your outlap. Looks like that would have been your Bart Kudelda, as we have referred to him as Katakam the past few races, but that is Bart Kudelda. He has been a threat for the championship up until last week, where he had a dismal outing. Had a good run going, got tangled up in a couple of melees, and then ended up crashing badly into turn 1. Definitely not the form that he showed in Melbourne. Looks like he was a little overzealous last week at the Circuit de Catalunya, and ended up taking out newcomer Sam Elvin in factory Renault, who was having a good run up until that point, and then a few laps later, heading into turn 1, Bart went straight off and had a massive incident, basically retiring him after that. So he lost a lot of points in the championship. Killian Brady still your points leader, followed by Francis McGinn in the other factory McLaren Honda. So it'll be interesting to see if Bart can get back to his form that he had back in Melbourne. Looks like he's off on a flying lap, and we'll see what kind of time he can set. Interestingly enough, Bart has been in rare form this year, considering last year he didn't score any points. So he grew a lot as a driver during the off-season, but last week looks like he found some of his old habits. So see if he can break them this week and see what kind of time he can set. Other drivers we have out, Cameron Weston Edwards had a great run to the podium last week. However, there was a lot of controversy after the race, amongst the start of the race. A lot of finger pointing. Had a lot of drivers fall out of the race last week. It was definitely a race of attrition. Croft sets the first time in the Scuderia Toro Rosso at a 1:25.487. Francis McGinn is on his outlap, and we continue to watch Godelda on his flying lap. See if he can get a good run coming out of there down into the Perabata. Definitely want to carry a lot of speed coming out of that turn to get a good run. And IES 2104 sets the fastest time, 1:22.244. And now Cotelda to the top of the speed charts at a 1:21.465, 0.8 of a second faster than IES. Jesper at a 4th fastest time. Jan Holm, the 5th fastest cross. Bottom of the charts right now. Still waiting on a couple other drivers to set a time. We'll take a look at Killian Brady, your championship points leader. Ooh, a little bit of a power slide coming out of that chicane. And this is the run down in to the next set of chicanes. This is, I believe, Ascari. Looks like we have a caution in sector 3. Brady through the parabolica, out onto the front stretch. Let's see what kind of time he can set. And KB goes to the top of the charts. 1:21.132, 0.3 of a second faster over Cotelda. So these two are picking up where they left off last week. Let's see if we can track down Mr. McGinn and see what kind of time he's going to set, as McLaren is running away not only with the Drivers' Championship this season so far, but also with the Manufacturers' Championship, especially after another 1-2 finish last week. They have a rather large points lead over the factory Red Bulls. And speaking of Red Bull, there is no Benarichetti this week, unfortunately, so that's going to hurt Red Bull even more. Depending on where Cotelda finishes at the end of this race. And Francis McGinn, a little bit off the pace for the McLaren, a 1:22.4, that's good for 6th. And it looks like IES, after setting the 5th fastest time, is retired from the session. Take a look at Sandro, one of the factory Ferraris, and not a good place to pick up, as it looks like he blew that chicane. That'll be an aborted lap. We'll take a look back at Dion Stahl, last year's winner. And Ferrari really looking to put in a good showing here at their home track. Definitely need to make up some points. There's a really interesting points battle going on for the Manufacturers' Championship through 3rd through like 6th. 4 teams there that Williams, Renault, Ferrari, all only within a few points of each other. Williams is in the mix too. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of points these Ferrari guys can put up today. Hopefully get a double finish and not have an outing like they did last week. Sandro was having a good run in the 4th position last week at Barcelona, and then on lap 13 caught too much curve in the last chicane and ended up putting himself out. Dion managed to finish the race in 9th after a dismal start. But that still put him in the top 10. Last week's race was definitely a race of attrition. We started with an SRL league record of 15 drivers. Only 9 of them finished. So 6 drivers were out at the end of that race. Definitely a race of attrition. And we're going to see what Dion can do. Looks like he was on an out lap, and now he's on a timed lap. A lot of curb hop on that through that chicane. We'll run down to the next chicane as well. Ooh, just a little wide, almost dropped some tire there. It's going to take the run down through Lesmos 1 and Lesmos 2. Drops the left side tires just a little bit. We hop on board real quick, right out to the outer edge. 4 minutes to play in this qualifying session, and Dion is on a tear right now. The run down to the parabolica. See how much speed he can carry out of there. Takes a pretty good line and aborts the lap. Now that was very anticlimactic. Take a look at Edwards. And not sure, there's a caution in this area, not sure where Edwards is. There we pick him up. So this is Edwards' out lap. He's yet to set a time. Coming out late, 3 minutes to play in the session through the Lesmos. Right now your starting order is going to be Killian Brady takes the provisional pole position. Gotelda is second. Sam Elvin with a very respectable third place time. He's only a 10th off of Gotelda. Jesper in the Haas, who is replacing Sam Brandt after he retired last week, will be fourth. IES in the Sahara Force India, fifth. Francis McGinn, sixth. Sandro, seventh. Jan Holm, the Widowmaker, eighth. Croft is ninth, and Dion has yet to set a time, and neither has Edwards. We're going to see what kind of time he can put up on his fast lap here. Looks like Dion is coming out of the pits, going to put some heat into the tires and hard on the brakes down into turn one. Edwards had a great run in the Sauber last week, but there was some finger pointing, as I said earlier, at the end of that race, about who dive bombed who, pushed off into the grass. Definitely want to try and take it easier in the start here at Monza. You always want to get a good start, but Monza, of all places, with the lack of downforce and grip, there's always a calamity going into turn one. It's such a tight chicane, and it looks like, well, Edwards has aborted this lap, possibly run into a mechanical issue. So we'll take a look at Dion Stahl in the other factory Ferrari. He's on his out lap. See what kind of time he can put up. See Sandro there in the forefront. He's trying to improve his time. And right now, this far back in the order, this is not what Ferrari wants for this weekend. A lot of cars on track, and a lot of guys are either going to be doing one last lap to try and improve their time. You see Edwards there off to the side, give himself some running room. Caution in Sector 3, that's probably for Edwards' car. Slowed down to give himself some space to make a run. See if Dion can finally put up a time. And Jesper in the Haas, that's the fastest lap at a 1:21.063. Where did that come from? Impressive run by Jesper in the Haas. As we continue to watch Dion Stahl here try to set a fast lap, he's yet to put up a time. Gotelda has retired from the session. Croft has retired from the session. Killian Brady has retired from the session, but we continue to watch Dion Stahl, who hasn't set a time. Looks like he's going to give this a one-lap shot to see what he can do. Through the Lesmos. Little sideways coming out of that corner. Weston Edwards has retired from the session. Hard on the brakes. Back on the throttle. Down the backstretch. You see one more car there on track. The run down through the Parabolica. Catches a little grass there. Good line on the exit. Where is Dion Stahl going to come up? It looks like he's crossed the line. 10th, unfortunately. So, unbelievable time set by Jesper in the Haas. You see some of these other guys are already back in the garage. There is your pole sitter. Jesper had a good run going last week in the Haas. It was his first run, replacing Samuel Brandt, who may or may not be joining us later in the broadcast for co-commentating on the action and what he's been up to the last few weeks. So right now your starting grid is Jesper in the Haas F1, 121.063 to knock down Killian Brady. And then Sandro did set a fast lap at a 121.2. He's going to put him third position. Godelta is going to be starting fourth in the Red Bull. Sam Elvin will be in the factory Renault. Be interesting to see how those two handle each other, considering last week's calamity. Francis McGinn, not the form McLaren was looking for, all the way down in sixth. IES is in the Sahara Force India, and again, I apologize for not knowing that gentleman's name. Croft is going to be starting 8th. Jan Holm, the Widowmaker, is going to be 9th. And congratulations, there's the official first for Jesper in the SRL F1 League. So you see Widowmaker 9th, we'll pick up where we left off. Dion Stahl, unfortunately, wasn't able to set a time. He'll be starting 10th. And Cameron Weston Edwards will be starting 11th, which is not the result that he wanted, especially after last week's outing where he finished on the podium. So we'll see what kind of time he can make up. So here we go. Race will be getting ready to start here momentarily. I believe this is the reconnaissance lap. Put some heat into the tires. So there you see Jesper with his first pole position for the SRL League. Championship points leader Killian Brady starting in second. Sandro coming to form there late in the qualifying session, puts up the third fastest time for Ferrari. Godelda in the factory Red Bull, fourth fastest time. Sam Elvin in the factory Renault, replacing Rob Sawyer, who had other obligations this year, fifth. Francis McGinn will be 6th. IES in the Sahara Force India 7th. Croft in the Toro Rosso 8th. Jan Holm in the Sauber, trying to put some heat in those tires, and he better be careful getting close to taking himself out in the grass there. Starting in 9th. Dion Stahl, not the outing he was looking for in qualifying, starting 10th. And bringing up the rear of the field is going to be Cameron Weston Edwards in the other Sauber. So it'll be interesting to see how this start is going to go. Excited for this race, optimistic for this race, worried about how this start's going to go going down into turn 1. See, the cars are going to get ready to line up here. So you can take a look at Sam Elvin. Here you see Killian Brady and Bart Godelda lining up behind him. Lights out. Time to run what you brung, boys. The run down into turn 1. A lot of shuffling going on. Cataldo there in the back. Easy does it, guys. And, oh, dive bomb. Pushes Jesper off to the side. Brady tried to make a dive bomb move. And Jesper gets a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. And now he's caught in a calamity in the back. And he's off. Unfortunate turn of events, starting on pole. Got pushed wide by Killian Brady. IES is off as well. Brady pushes him wide, and immediately the governing body gives him a 3-second time penalty. You see Dion Stahl. He gets a 5-second stop-and-go penalty for corner cutting, gained 1 place. He's completely lost his front wing. IES in the back, he's also caught up in the first turn calamity, and back out in front, it is none other than Killian Brady. Be interesting to see what the stewards think after this race, after that move. But he's taking the run out of Ascari and down to the Parabolica. Sandro is running second, hot pursuit. And so is Bart Cotelda. So an unfortunate start for Jesper, who had put up such a good time in qualifying. But taken out early, going into turn 1. So Brady immediately sets the fastest lap at a 1:27. And Cotelda is in a hot pursuit of Sandro. Easy down into turn 1, fellas. And it looks like Sam just made a move on Jan Holm for 4th place. Cotelda trying to work Sandro, both of them trying to pursue Killian Brady in the McLaren. Oh, and he gets too much curve there, and Cotelda's going to make the move on Sandro as Sandro slides out wide, and the Ferrari's going to drop him down to 3rd. And now Cotelda's going to have to put in the times to see if he can catch Killian Brady. If he wants any hopes of trying to get back into this championship fight, he's going to have to score here big time. Hopefully doesn't have an outing like he did last week. Oh, and it looks like Sam Elvin has lost it in one of the Lesmos, I believe. He's had an off, so that's going to give Jan Holm back 4th position. IES has managed to work his way back into 6th place. We're going to go back up front with Cotelda as he is in... Brady sets another fastest lap, 1:24.422. DRS is enabled now. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anybody at this point is actually within DRS range. Killian Brady's got almost a 3-second lead over Cotelda as he power slides coming out of that chicane. Sandro trying to close the gap. That's their closest fight, is Sandro and Cotelda. The gap there is down to 1.3. Sandro had a little bit of an off in this chicane here. Takes that corner much better this time. And looks like Sam Elvin is in and out of the pits. New tires, wing change. And he's on the medium tires. He may try to make a run to the end on that. So we've got a nice fight here. Looks like 7th, 8th, 9th is where most of the action is going to be right now. Weston Edwards has moved his way up to the 7th position, and he's in hot pursuit of Croft. And Brady sets another fastest lap. That's the 3rd time he's done that in a row. So Cotelda is losing time to Brady. He's about 3.1 behind. Sandro's losing time to him at 2.6 behind Cotelda. Here is your battle for 6th place. Edwards and Croft. Croft's been a pretty solid mid-pack driver this year. Don't talk about him a lot, except for the fact of fighting for 6th and 5th place. But solid driver. Not much drama surrounding him. Edwards, on the other hand, there was a lot of finger pointing at the end of the last race, possibly, him and Holmes being a little too ambitious going into turn 1. But this week, the one being ambitious was Killian Brady, and Edwards tries to make the run on the outside, couldn't make that happen. Here he goes, he's got a good run coming out of that complex. Gonna try going around the outside. He's gonna try the crossover move now. Oh, it's close. And he's got the position going into the chicane. And he's got it. Edwards moves up to 6th. And his next target will be IES. Here comes Francis McGinn. He's the next one to try and pick off Croft. McGinn didn't qualify where he wanted to, started 6th in this race. After the first lap melee, dropped back positions, and he's now made it around. Oh, but he runs very wide there. Possible warning there for corner cutting, I'm sure. But he gets around Croft, and he's going to pick up 7th place. And now McGinn is going to try and run down Edwards in the Sauber. Back up front, nothing's changed. Your top 3 is still Killian Brady, Bart Padelda, and Sandro Dulis. But the action is here in the back. And we've got a caution in Sector 3. Probably a quick on-off. McGinn is all over the back of Edwards now. As they battle for 6th place. Oh, they're drag racing down to the stretch. And it looks like McGinn might have this. Oh, they bang wheels in a little bit, it looks like. Oh, and he gets by Edwards. So McGinn's off. Through the Lesmos. Edwards tries to get a good run coming out of there. Oh, McGinn drops a left side wheel just a little bit into the grass. Hard down into Scotty. Oh, and Edwards runs way wide coming out of that corner, keeping his foot to the floor to try and make up that time. Through the Parabolica. Looks like we've got a little bit of an internet glitch going on here. Hard to... Oh, and Catalda has left the session. And somebody's just wrecked hard. It looks like into the pits. We've got a car off. That may have been the internet glitch we were talking about. I saw a wheel fly up into the air at pit entry. And IES is now dropping down the order, along with Sam Elvin, who's back into the pits. And IES and the Sahara Force India is, looks like, done for the day. Oh, and who is this? Is this Dion Stahl? He's off. What happened there? So a series of events here at the end of that lap. 2 drivers are out. Unbelievable turn of events. So now there's a caution in Sector 2. IES is out of this race. Dion Stahl, unfortunately, the factory Ferrari in the home of Ferrari is done for the day. We'll take a look at Bart Cotelda, who has left the session, and we're not sure if it's an internet connection problem or if he's done for the day. Remember, Bart ran into this problem a few weeks ago at Melbourne. He was leading the race, lost his connection. The car dropped back to 4th place. Bart regained connection, gets back behind the wheel of the car, and drives it all the way to the finish to make a last lap, last corner pass on Francis McGinn at Melbourne. It was an unbelievable run. Best race of the year so far. And it looks like we may have a similar issue today with him losing connection. And he's going to be losing time. That's going to put Sandro into 2nd. And this is definitely what Ferrari and Sandro needed here at Monza. Put some points on the board, get back to your old form, and fight for the win. Unfortunately, Killian Brady, he's got a 5-second stop-and-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. May or may not affect him. So we're going to see here. We're going to go with Sandro. Sandro is going to take this lead. And if he can pull out Brady's 5-second stop-and-go, Ferrari could fight for this win, folks. This is an unbelievable run here in the last couple laps. Easy there, son, as you get a little sideways coming out of that corner. So Catalda's car takes over the second position. But it's not going to be for long as Killian Brady's back out on track. And Brady already off into second place. We're going to continue to watch that battle. Sandro has an 11.7 second lead over Killian Brady for the win of this race. And interestingly enough, Catalda has rejoined. We'll see what happens when he gets controls that car. Damn, I'm stuttering. Sorry about that. We'll see what happens when he gets control of that car again. As we hop on board with Jan Holmes. He's going to take over the third position as Catalda tries to continue to regain control of the car. But he continues to lose time. Killian Brady is already slicing into the lead that Sandro has. He's picked up 0.6 of a second in that last sector on new tires. Jan Holm, the Sauber, having a good solid run today after last week's dismal race. He didn't even make it through the first corner before the car was retired. So a good solid run for him today, running in third right now. And it looks like Catalda has regained control of the car as Jan Holm goes into the pits. And Widowmaker is going to have a 5-second stop-and-go penalty for speeding into pit road. So the fight is on, folks. Catalda's back in control. He's in third. He's about 17 seconds behind Sandro, 7 seconds behind Killian Brady. And Brady is slicing big time into that lead over Sandro. It's down to 9.1 seconds. And, oh, big off there by Catalda. And we're going to jump back here a little bit with Edwards of the Sauber, who's 1.7 seconds behind Francis McGinn as he continues to try and track him down. McGinn passed him a few laps ago. And it looks like Edwards wants that back, but he's losing time. This is your closest battle on track right now. But really the talk of the town right now is Sandro, who's in the pits, and Killian Brady sets the fastest lap at a 1:23.638. And as Sandro goes in the pits, that puts Killian Brady back into the lead. And Catalda is coming into the pits as well. Figures he'll regain control of the car, put some fresh tires on it. Let's make a run to the finish. So Killian Brady, nothing new here, folks. He is your championship points leader. He has won 4 races this year, and he is out in front where he has been all season long, and now has a 17-second lead over Sandro in the factory Ferrari. Francis McGinn has worked his way up to the third position after a poor qualifying session and a dismal start, but worked his way back up to third. Could be looking at another McLaren 1-2. Edwards is, but he's, speaking of McGinn real quick, he's got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. We take a look back at Edwards, still in hot pursuit of McGinn. Catalda's back out of the pits. We're going to see what kind of time he can set. Widowmaker, he's 1.6 seconds behind Catalda, but I'm sure that gap is going to increase. Catalda's a very fast driver. Sometimes a little over-aggressive, but very fast. Hop on board with Croft in the Scuderia Toro Rosso. Another solid run in 7th place. Like I said, not a lot of drama around this guy. Goes out, does his job, puts in a solid run at the end of the day, puts some points on the board. Jesper, who put up a very fast time in qualifying, started on pole, and was immediately pushed aside by Killian Brady going down into turn 1. Looked a little overzealous move from Brady, and we'll see what happens at the end of this race. Sam Elvin, not having the race he wanted, I'm sure. He had a great race at Barcelona last week until he was taken out by Cotelda, and not the run that he wanted to have today. He is 22 seconds behind Jesper for 9th position, or 8th position, I should say. Oh, and he's sideways, and he's into the wall. So he's going to head into the pits. I'm sure he had some wing damage. Got a little too wide there at the Parabolica and has paid the price. Unfortunate for Sam Elvin. Good kid, replacing Rob Sawyer in the factory Renault, as I've said earlier. Get some new tires, doesn't wing chains. Back out and running. He's now going to be 50 plus seconds behind for 8th position. But as we've seen a lot this year, these races have come down to in a race of attrition. And you can see in the background there, oh, it's Sandro. It was Sandro that was coming up on him, and he had to cut the chicane, unfortunately. Sandro 21 seconds behind Killian Brady. So your closest battle on track now is Bart Cotelda, who is coming up on the back of Cameron Weston Edwards in Sauber. Cotelda, we're going to see if he can put a run in here like he did a couple weeks ago in Melbourne. And we've got a caution in Sector 1. And it looks like that might be Jan Holmes. Not sure what's going on here. He's got a DNF and he has left the session. Possibly internet connection or a mechanical issue with the car. So again, a race of attrition. That's 3 drivers out. That's going to put Sam Elvin up into the 8th position here as he comes to the end of the front stretch. So that is going to move him up another position. And as we're talking about that, Cotelda is all over the back of Edwards at this point. He's in the DRS zone. Such a long front stretch. Monza is an incredible track. Very low downforce setup is what you're going to want. The drivers are on full throttle almost 80% of the lap around here. And Monza has... Oh, and there's a little argy-bargy there. Edwards trying to push Cotelda wide. Cotelda does not having any of it. This is the battle for 4th position. Cotelda gets a good run coming out of that corner. Can he keep it together going through Lesmos 1? And go through the second Lesmos. Got a caution in Sector 3. And it looks like that might be Sam Elvin. He's come up as a DNF as well. We'll get to that story in a second as Cotelda makes the pass for the 4th position. Oh, and a big wreck. A big wreck for Sam Elvin. Looks like he came out and possibly spun the car and hit the wall coming out of that corner. So, another race of attrition, unfortunately. That's 4 cars out. We'll take a look at Croft. Puts him into the 7th position. Sam Elvin, that's 2 races in a row with a DNF, unfortunately. Not the race that he wanted. So we'll take a look back at the top of the order. Killian Brady continues to pull out. He's 22.5 seconds over Sandro in the factory Ferrari at this point. Sandro's had a couple of offs, but he's putting in a pretty solid run. If he can just keep it together, this is exactly what Ferrari needs. So don't push it. Chances are you're not going to catch Brady. So try to hang on to that second place. Francis McGinn is slightly closing the gap now into Sandro for the battle for second. About 5.9 seconds behind. The driver we are most certainly want to watch right now is Godelda. After he lost connection earlier in the race, he lost a couple of positions, has rejoined. So we're going to see where that's going to put him, see what he can do through the end of this race. Hop on board with Jesper, who through a series of events, he started first, fell way back to the bottom of the order. He's now worked his way back up to fifth. Good solid run for him. Croft is now under attack from Edwards, who I'm assuming had gone into the pits and come back out. So Edwards was higher up in the order. Looks like Francis McGinn is into the pits now. That's going to put Godelda up one more spot. Oh, and a dive bomb through the parabolica down on the inside. Great move by Edwards to pick up the sixth position. And Croft is into the pits. Looks like Jesper has picked up a spot over McGinn after McGinn went into the pits. We'll see how long Jesper can hold on to that fourth position with McGinn coming out on fresher tires. Through Lesmos one. Lesmos two. Good run coming out of that corner. And Francis McGinn is closing that gap down to Jesper. Keep it together. You'll get a run coming out of Ascari down the backstretch. Jesper taking a very defensive line. And now it's a drag race to the parabolica. And wow, what a move! Francis McGinn makes the move on the outside going into the parabolica. Unbelievable. He shut the door on Jesper, and Jesper's going to head into the pits. So we take a look back here at third position. Bart Godelda has worked his way up after rejoining, and he is 8.6 seconds behind Sandro. We'll see if he can close that gap down. Not sure he's going to have enough laps left to try and fight his way back to the front for the win. We take a look at your running order here. You can see there he's starting to close the gap. Yep, he's closing the gap now as he just hits through the parabolica. Shaving tenths of a second off each sector to Sandro. Sandro just now hitting turn one. And you can see there is Godelda. So we'll see how long Sandro, and look at this, Francis McGinn sets the fastest lap. And Jesper has a 5-second stop and go penalty now for ignoring a blue flag. Looks like he may have impeded Killian Brady's run there at the top. So Sandro having a real solid run here in second place today. But Godelda is slowly closing in. The gap is now down to 6.9. He gained a second just through that sector alone. And we're going to take a look real quick up front to Killian Brady. And yeah, looks like Jesper was impeding Killian Brady. Oh, as he goes through that chicane, kind of rough. Jesper is on fresher tires, but it looks like he was ignoring a blue flag as Brady came by. And surprisingly, Jesper is still on the tail of Brady. I'm not sure if Brady maybe has a issue with the car, or maybe the tires are just that worn. We are working lap 18 of 27, and I'm pretty confident Brady has not pitted yet. He is known for his long stints in the beginning of these races. Looks like Edwards had a 3-second time penalty. And Jesper may be giving Brady a hard time because he might be a little salty about the start of that race, where Jesper had a fairly good start, but Brady definitely went into the first quarter hot and gave him a nice shoulder check, pushed Jesper out wide. Immediately, Jesper was given a 3-second time penalty. But we'll have to see what the governing body says at the end of this race. Through the Parabolica, and Jesper is going to be in the DRS zone, technically speaking. And he is all over the back of Brady. I really think he's just giving him a hard time, just because he can at this point. I mean, you're way back in the order. Given a 5-second time penalty. What else can you do but give the guy that pushed you out of the way a hard time? And Catalda now has set the fastest lap at a 1:23.4. We will take a look back at him real quick because he is now closing the gap down to Sandro, is now down to 3.9. So Catalda's on a tear here as he sets the fastest lap, closed the gap to Sandro. And it's only a matter of time now before Catalda, if he can keep it together, that he will strike. We take a look back up front. This is not a battle for position, but Jesper giving Killian Brady a hard time these past couple laps. Looks like Brady's finally starting to pull a little bit of a gap on him. Croft picks up a 3-second time penalty. And it looks like Brady is finally starting to pull a little bit of a gap over Jesper, but he's still there. He's still only a few car lengths behind. And he's going to definitely close the gap with the DRS, and he's going to be all over the back of the gearbox again. So Jesper still continually to harass Brady. He hasn't touched him, but he's definitely given him a mirror full of car. I don't know if he's trying to force a mistake out of Brady, which is a rarity. Have not seen Brady set a foot wrong all year. The incidences that he's been caught up in has been the fault of another driver. Brady has been solid all year and is batting 1,000 with podium finishes. He's got 4 wins and a third place finish. Maybe it could be 5 wins. Working lap 20 of 27, and Brady has still yet to pit. And Jesper is continuing to harass Brady. I don't think Brady's letting it affect his race too much. And Brady is finally going to head into the pits to put on new tires. And the pit stop delta around here is about 23 seconds, so Brady should retain the lead over Sandro. We'll keep an eye on that real quick. And you can see Cotelda now is within striking distance. He's got the gap down to Sandro to 1.7 seconds. Brady is leaving the pits, and Sandro is coming down the front stretch. And looks like Brady is going to lose the lead for the time being, and now you've got a 3-way battle for the lead and the championship here. Oh, and Brady got a good run coming out of that corner. Brady's all over the back of Sandro. Sandro's not going to be able to hang on to this for long. Look at this 3-way battle for the lead. Let's see who gets it. Oh, they touch a little bit. Good run through the chicane, but look at Brady on the outside now. He's going to get a run down to the leftmost one. Oh, and Sandro gets a little loose coming out of the corner. And Brady's off to the races. Oh, and he goes wide! Sandro goes wide. Gives up the second position. And now it's going to be a fight with Cotelda. Not only for the win, but for the championship. He's 9/10 of a second behind. He's on the medium tires. He's on a very long stint on these tires. Brady is on these super softs. And it looks like Brady is going to possibly pull away. The gap is 1.1. Cotelda is so close to the DRS zone. He needs it so badly right now to close that gap. And I knew it was going to be close with the pit stop delta with Sandro and Brady. Brady did an amazing job to take that lead back. Cotelda fighting so hard, but it looks like Brady's pulling out just a 10th here and a 10th there. The gap's up to 1.5 seconds now. And it looks like, unfortunately, in the midst of all this, we have missed that Francis McGinn, unfortunately, is not going to finish this race. We're not 100% sure what happened to him as we were watching the battle for the lead. And now the gap is up to 2 seconds, so Brady is starting to pull away. So Brady looks like at this point, with 5 laps to go, he's going to pick up another win. Cotelda, if he can hold it together, will get a podium finish here in second. Sandro, a podium finish here at Monza, is definitely what Ferrari needed this weekend. We'll see if he can keep it together the last few laps. Cameron Weston Edwards has been kind of quiet today, which is good. He's put in a really nice, solid run into the 4th position. He's made a couple of good passes over some drivers earlier in the race. Right now he's running through Lesmos too. And Killian Brady sets a new fastest lap at 1:22.148. And he has now got the gap over Cotelda to 3 seconds. Take a look back at Jesper. He's running through Lesmos as we speak. He was your pole sitter, put in a really fast lap to take pole position away from Killian Brady. Unfortunately, heading down into turn 1, Brady gave him a little bit of a shoulder check, and that dropped Jesper down to the bottom of the order. There was a calamity coming out of the corner, but he's managed to fight his way back up and have a really solid run in 5th. Croft, again, a good solid run in 6th, and as he finishes most of these races mid-pack, he puts in good solid runs, no drama, picks up a lot of points, and usually in a race like this with so many DNFs, he's usually one of the ones that isn't an issue to deal with. So we started with 11 cars, we're down to 6. Seems to be on average through the SRL league, about 5 cars a race on average do not finish these races. So Croft with another solid run. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to Francis McGinn, but he is done for the day, along with Sam Elvin, Jan Holm, IES, and Dion Stahl. So Killian Brady back up front. 3.1 second lead over Cotelda. And more than likely, this will be your finishing order. It will be interesting to see if there are any penalties handed out at the end of this. I'm sure there will be some video to review for the stewards. Not sure what those penalties may be, or even if there will be, but it looks like that there will probably be some discussion at the end of this race about the start. So as the laps wind down, Brady doing what he does best. He started this season as a reserve driver for Batpink, who we have not seen this year. He started the first race of the season, put in such a good showing that McLaren decided to make him their number 1 driver, and he has not let them down at all this year. He has just been on a tear, a very solid driver. And Jesper's going to pick up a 3-second time penalty for, I'm going to assume, his corner cutting, probably through one of the chicanes around here. Cotelda in the factory Red Bull, another stellar outing, much better than what he had last week. Again, he lost a connection earlier in the race. Ghost car takes over. The AI drives him around for a little while. Cotelda's managed to reconnect, gain control of the car. After he lost a few positions, he's managed to fight his way back up to second place. Sandro is going to probably finish where he started, which is exactly what Ferrari needed this weekend. You know, Sandro won here back in Season 1. Dion won here back in Season 2. Unfortunately, it's going to be a reversal of last year. Dion finished the race in first, while Sandro was caught up in a wreck at Lesmos last year. This year, Dion is out, and Sandro is going to finish the race on the podium. Be a good, solid run for him. Definitely want to gain some more points. Sandro missed the first race of this year, so he definitely wants to try and make up that gap a little bit and help Ferrari try and solidify third place in this Manufacturers' Championship. Edwards, another solid run. He's been a little sporadic this year with the races that he makes, but generally speaking, when he makes a race, good solid effort, good solid runs. Finished on the podium last week, and he's definitely going to be picking up some points today for the Sauber team. Jesper, in only his second race, picked up his first pole position this time for the SRL League. Started first, again, got shoulder checked going off into turn 1. We'll see what happens there, but he's put in a good effort today, had a good run last week. So some solid points for the Haas team these past couple weeks amidst the departure of Samuel Brandt. And once again, Croft, as always, mid-pack finisher, going to put some good points in today for the Scuderia Toro Rosso. So here is your leader as we get ready to... Croft picks up another 3-second time penalty. Not going to affect his finish, obviously. And Codelda has actually closed the gap now to Killian Brady. I don't think he's going to have enough time. The gap is now down to 3 seconds. But I don't think he's going to be able to make up 3 seconds this lap unless Brady makes a mistake. So white flag lap. And Codelda is being held up a little bit by Croft. Croft's going to get out of the way and let him go by. Gentleman move by Croft. And that did cost Codelda about a half a second from Brady. But Croft did do the right thing. He gave him room when he could. So no hard feelings there. Brady through Lesmos 1. Lesmos 2. And Brady is going to extend that points lead. But there is an interesting battle for second place in the championship between Bart Codelda and Francis McGinn. So there's an interesting battle there. And then with McGinn being out this race, Codelda, I think, might actually pick up that second place spot for the time being. So Brady down the back stretch and through the Parabolica for the last time. And once again, celebrating in Schumacher fashion. Bart Codelda is going to pick up second place. Take a look back at Sandro on the very last lap and through the Parabolica. Clips the wall. And lucky for him, I think he's going to hang on to the third position, but almost just a treacherous calamity at the very end of this race for Sandro. That could have been a heartbreak ending for him. Manages to pick up the final podium finish. Edwards through the Parabolica. He's going to pick up the fourth position. Good solid run for him. Jesper coming down the backstretch now to the Parabolica. Great run for him. Solid 5th place finish. And then Croft will be your 6th place finisher, as once again we started with 11 drivers. 5 of them have dropped out in what is another race of attrition. Almost had a 6th driver drop out there in the very last corner as Sandro lost it in the Parabolica. Luckily he didn't do too much damage. So there you see Killian Brady, Bart Godelda, and Sandro. So McLaren on top again. This is nothing new this year, the SRL League. This is where McLaren has been the whole time. So here's your finishing order. Fernando and Max, that's obviously Killian Brady, Barcatello, Sandro Julius picking up the 3rd podium position. Edwards with a solid run 4th. Jesper 5th. Croft is 6th. And then you can see the finishing order there, which was McGinn, Elvin, IES, Dion at the bottom there for Ferrari, unfortunately. So, good race today. We appreciate you guys joining us for this race. We'll be back in a couple weeks after Christmas break. We're going to pick things up in Hungary at the Budapest circuit. I'm Kamikaze Fox. Thanks for joining us. For more videos and reviews on news on the SRL League, go to check out their YouTube page, SRL League F1, and we will see you next time.